Well, hi everybody, I'm Vicki and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to do a recipe that I'm so excited to bring you. Okay, I've been working on this and I really think I got it right. And what we're making is shortbread. And we're making it keto, low carb, of course. And it really is amazing. Now, check back on my earlier videos and see how I prepared the strawberries to go on the top of this. But for right now, let's get cooking. Okay, so what we're going to do first is cream our butter, a stick of butter, and 8 ounces of cream cheese. And we're just going to cream them. And then we'll add the sugar. And now, this doesn't take but just a minute. Okay, I think we've got it creamy. You know what I forgot to bring? Some scrapers over here. And how can you bake without scrapers? Of course, Pampered Chef's got some of the nicest scrapers around. So we have started with the cream cheese and the butter. Whoops. Started with the cream cheese and the butter. We have those softened and creamed together. And we're going to slowly add the sugar. But we're not using sugar. Today we're using half a cup of monk fruit, and a half a cup of Swerve. And we're going to get those blended in well together. Now, shortbread is very buttery. We're going to use 1 whole egg. Egg yolks, and scrape the sides down. Make sure we're getting it all blended well together. You know, shortbread is a traditional Scottish dessert, but I love it because it's not really terribly sweet. It's a little sweet, a little crunch, and a little buttery. Now I'm going to add a whole tablespoon of vanilla. Quarter teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of baking powder. And remember, we're not using self-rising flour or wheat flour. We're using almond flour. So I'm going to slowly add our almond flour. 1/4 cup of coconut flour. Now I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of whipping cream. The coconut flour takes more moisture than the almond flour. Now I'm going to whip it just a little bit more, but I do something a little bit different. I like a little bit of spicy undertones. So I take, and I'm just using a 1/4 teaspoon. So all I'm wanting is a hint, but I'm using our cinnamon plus, but you can use a hint of allspice or pumpkin pie spice or just plain cinnamon. And all we're using, we're not wanting a lot of it, just a 1/4 teaspoon. Just a 1/4 teaspoon. You just want a little bit of a spicy undertone to it. I don't want to beat this too much. I just want to make sure it's all incorporated and smooth. Okay. I think that's enough. Looks like all of the ingredients are incorporated. Like I said, I don't want to just beat it a whole lot. Now that's how quick it is. I'm not finished with it yet. We are going to put this in our 9x13 pan. I'm going to reserve about a cup of it out to use for something else. And it works out perfect because it makes by taking a cup of the batter out, it makes it the right thickness in the 9x13 pan. Now, I have the pan greased with butter, but I am also going to pour a little bit of olive oil. And this is called a double fat technique. And what you do is you use a solid fat, which is the butter, and then over the top of that, you put a liquid fat. And I choose olive oil, and our new dispenser works out perfect for that. The two fats work together to keep anything from sticking, but it also enhances the flavor of the edges of what you're baking. So, we have our dish prepared. Now my oven is on and preheated. Oops. Wow, that's good. Now, I'm going to put this and start it in the oven for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to take it out and I am going to put some butter over the top of it. It will cook into the shortbread. Now this isn't cake, so I don't want it the thickness of a layer cake. That's why I actually removed a cup of the batter. I'm actually going to make something else with that cup of batter. With that, I like to put it in my small cast iron with a little bit of peanut butter or peanut butter flour and some chocolate chips and make a cookie, a chocolate chip cookie. Okay, we've got this ready to go in the oven, and I'll bring it back and let you see it as I put butter on it. We'll talk through all the stages. Don't let anybody fool you. Shortbread is not that hard. I've heard so many people say, oh, I can go out and buy shortbread. You can't buy shortbread that's keto low carb that tastes like this. I promise you. So over the years, I've tried. And let me tell you, I've tasted some of the best shortbreads that you can imagine. I have a mom who is very fond of shortbread. And it's called the Tartan Lady. You hear us talking about Scottish heritage. Our family, the Shaws, are Scots. And my mother has a company called the Tartan Lady. And she does Highland Games. And we just got back from an event in Tallahassee. Okay, I'm going to put it in the oven. I'll come back in a few minutes and show you what it's looking like. Okay, so while that's cooking, I'm going to put this 1 cup of dough in a vacuum seal bag and put it in the freezer for later. Like I said, I'll probably make a couple of chocolate chip cookies in the cast iron and let you see how I do that later. But for right now, let's just reserve that 1 cup. That does 2 things. It makes it the perfect depth in the 11 by 13 pan. And it gives us a dessert for another day. I don't know about you. I love dessert. Did you know stressed spelled backwards is dessert? That's pretty interesting, isn't it? So a good way to get rid of stress? Let's go cook an amazing dessert. At least that's what I do to relieve stress. I love cooking. It relaxes me. And I love sharing it with you. Of course, these are our prep tools. Remember, everything you see me using, with the exception of the induction stovetop that I use occasionally, and I'm going to use in a few minutes. I've had a lot of people asking me, where is that in the catalog? It's not Pampered Chef. It's just something that I bought so that I could cook in front of you easily. But everything you see me using, with the exception of the induction stovetop, is in the Pampered Chef catalog. And there's always a link to the catalog on the description. And if you're looking at this on TV, it's kind of hard to drop down the description, but if you look at it on your phone, that little arrow will drop it down and you'll see the description. That's also where you'll find the recipes Now, if you have a hard time finding those, you can always go to my Facebook page, Vicki Shaw Hughes, and that's VICKISHAW Hughes, HUGHES, on Facebook, and your personal Pampered Chef Consultant. And there's always lots of recipes, and pretty much I put the recipes for everything I put on YouTube in my Facebook page as well. So we've got this ready to vacuum seal and use another day. I'm just going to stick it in the freezer. Be back in a little bit. Okay, let's get the butter mixture ready to go on the top of the shortbread when it's had time to cook for about 10 minutes. So we're gonna, oh, can't do that. So let's get the butter topping ready for the shortbread when it's had a chance to cook for about 10 minutes. So we're going to melt a stick of butter. We're only going to use half of it first time. And we are going to use, where is my Swerve? About an eighth. I'm going to use about an eighth of a cup of sugar. I don't want this real sweet, but I want it just a little sweet. So it's about 8. So I'm going to start, let's see, put it on medium high and start. We'll start melting the butter, and we're also going to put a little bit of sea salt. Well, hey, Georgia. Hey, little girl. Hey, old lady. Come here, Georgia. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Can you let folks see you? This is my cranky old lady that you don't get to see much. And, of course, Zoe. Everybody knows Zoe. I call Georgia my cranky old lady because she's about probably about 13 years old, and she's a rescue, and we have a new kitten that was a rescue that I bottle fed. It was orphaned at about 10 days old, and she absolutely hates her. So she goes around hissing and giving everybody a hard time. So I call her my cranky old lady. So, but I do love rescues. Zoe is not a rescue. She was a gift from my son and daughter-in-law. And she's about 8 years old. And she's my little sous chef that's always running around behind me. And then Georgia was rescued out of a dumpster at the Georgia-Florida games about 13 years ago. Can you imagine somebody just dumping kittens? And then, like I said, Hope was orphaned when she was about 10 days old, and she was the only surviving kitten. Her mom was bitten by a snake and died. So, we've got our 2 rescues, but there are a lot of animals at the shelter that need good homes. Before you go out and buy a pet, think about going to the shelter and giving one a home. Okay, our mixture is melted, and the Swerve is blended in well, and a little bit of salt, and we'll come back in a little bit. So here we are, 10 minutes in the oven, and we are going to do the first coat of butter We're going to drizzle the edges, make sure all the edges have butter in them, and then just drizzle some through the center. And like I said, we're using about half of the mixture. I'm not going to brush it on yet. The last stage I'll brush it on, but the batter hasn't really set yet. Okay, it's half of it. Back in the oven we go, and I'll bring it out and show you in a few minutes. 10 minutes later, and this time I can actually, not too much. I'm still going to drizzle. And I'm just putting a little bit. I think I'm going to save a little bit till the last 10 minutes. Okay, now back in the oven again. I told you shortbread is very buttery. Now look at how beautiful. Nice light golden brown. All right, the last little bit of butter. Brush on the top. And then let it cool. Now we'll come back and cut it. Well, the shortbread's cooled, and I wanted to cut it and let you see what it looks like. When you're cutting something that is in any kind of nonstick cookware, whether it's a frying pan, whether it's a baking pan, if you will get a nylon knife, these are just $10 in Pampered Chef, but use a nylon knife and it will not score and hurt your cookware. Now this actually will cut a little bit better when I have it chilled, but I really wanted you to see it. Now this will go in the refrigerator overnight. Actually won't crumble once they've been chilled. Look at this beautiful piece of shortbread. Oh man, that is so good. I think it's one of my favorite things. So the shortbread will go in the refrigerator, and I'm finishing cutting it so it looks nice and pretty. Can't waste those crumbles. They're way too good. Okay, so the shortbread is now had a time to chill a little bit. I was able to cut it without it crumbling. And don't forget the nylon knife. You know, first time I ever got this, I thought, what am I going to use that for? I use it all the time. I use it to cut lasagna. I use it to cut sweet things in my cool and serves. I use it in all of my nonstick cookware. So stick this in your cart next time you're ordering. And y'all look. Look at this amazing shortbread. I'm going to tell you, it is so good. You just need to try it. If you're a shortbread fan, Just be sure and try it. And don't forget, I have a cup of the batter left to do another dish for you. So you're going to see something with the rest of the batter from the shortbread, but taking that 1 cup out makes the shortbread the perfect thickness. Y'all, come back to see me. I hope you've had a wonderful time with me and you've learned a little something. Everything I use is Pampered Chef, and you can find the link to my store in the description or on my Facebook. The recipe you'll find in the description as well. And if you're looking at it on TV, it makes it a little hard to look at the description. But if you'll pull it up on your phone and click the little arrow down, you'll see the description. So check out the recipe, try it, let me know you've tried it and how you like it. I promise you nobody will know this is sugar-free, much less keto low carb. There's about 2 carbs in each bar. So have a wonderful day. Again, give somebody your beautiful smile. Makes you feel good inside. And you know what? You just could make their day. Bye.